This worked out really well. I got all that stuff. I'm going to go back, save, and then start the plunge into the water fiend's lair. Dun dun dun. That video takes forever. Whoa, what was that? The screen like did a weird thing. I didn't like that. Thought my PVR exploded or something. This guy said something about it. About the... Please, heroes, take that slab to Un. Oh, it goes to Un. Well, thank you. He was saying something about the Rosetta Stone, so that's why I talked to him. And apparently the Rosetta Stone goes to Un. So here we go. Un is going to do something now. But should I go fight the Water Fiend before I do that? You think? What do you think? Wish I was live streaming right now so you could tell me what I should do. But you can't. You are at the mercy of YouTube. Really, people? Alright, we'll go to Un real quick. Just see what he says. Actually, you know what? Screw that. I don't want to make that walk all the way through the forest twice. So, screw it. Let's go fight the Water Fiend, and then we'll go to Un. I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. Long video again. Can I skip this, maybe? Nope. Cannot skip. Good old PS1 and their unskippable cutscenes. Alright. There we go. Ow. Enemy strikes first. What a jerk. Mike is such a tank. He's got 555 life. And he takes no more than like 2 damage from everything. Because of his damn super diamond armor. And you thought this game was balanced. Let me tell you something about this game. Very not balanced. I want to see somebody try to kill Mike. Just do your best. Try to kill Mike. He is unkillable. Look at fucking sea troll. It's a troll. It's a big ass troll. The whole point is like he's big and he does a lot of damage, but he's slow or some shit. Did 1 damage. Holy shit, we got some level ups that time. We're doing levels now. How much? What level are we? 23. We're getting up there. That seems really low. Like, just in general. Like, I think I'm on par with the level I'm supposed to be at this point in the game now. But in terms of like Final Fantasy in general, like in Final Fantasy VII, when you're like at the end of the game, I mean, we're not at the end of the game, but we're, you know, pretty far into the game. You'd be more than level 20 at this point. You know? It's kind of weird. You just don't level up as often in this game, is what I'm trying to say. Which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I mean, I think with newer games, I mean, I know that with newer games, it's all about leveling up. Like, that's why mobile games are so addicting, because you're constantly leveling up and getting new things and yada yada yada, more energy, more this, more that. Now you can do this, now you can do that. So it keeps you interested. I think these older games were a lot less like that. It was much more about leveling up slowly and getting... I mean, I don't know. I think it was just a change that happened at some point. They were like, you know, why don't we level up more often and just have less happen when you level up? But then people stay interested because they're leveling up constantly, you know. So the newer games, you go up more, and it looks more entertaining when, like, you get to the end of the game, you're level 60, whereas instead of being at the end of the game and being level like 30, it just, you feel like you've accomplished more. But at the same token, it's like, in the end, it doesn't matter, because you've still gotten the same amount of stat increases. It's just less levels over time. But I guess with more levels, I feel like the game would be more balanced. You know, like, for example, in this game, since we're only level 23, you gotta imagine that at some point there was a boss where if you were level like 17, you'd get your ass kicked, but if you were level 18, you'd be fine. And that's kind of a little unbalanced. Like, there should be a better balance. Like, at level 17, you should get your ass kicked. At level 18, you should be doing a little better. At level 19, you should be able to beat them. At 20, you should be pretty good to kill them without losing any of your party members. And then level 21, it should be a pretty easy fight. And then 22, it should be like easy, like not even just a joke. So it gives you more of a broad range of the different interactions that can happen, instead of just being like, well, if I'm this level, I'll annihilate them, and if I'm this level, I'll get annihilated, and there's no real middle ground. But having said that, the stat increases in this game don't seem to affect as much as in the other games. Like, for example, Final Fantasy 12, I think? I'm trying to think. There's a game I played recently. It wasn't Final Fantasy 12, because I haven't played that recently, but I think in Final Fantasy 12 it's kind of similar, where if you're not the right level, you'll just get your ass kicked, like, no matter what. And, oh, you know what it is? It's Destiny. That's what I'm thinking of. Destiny was like that. That was one of the big problems with Destiny. It was like, if you're not the right level, if something's level 28 and you're level 26, what is going on here? I'm back up here with the... That was weird. I don't know what's up here. Something secret. Finding secrets. But anyways, yeah, if you're like 2 levels under something, the game has, like, the way it calculates damage, it makes it so you do, like, less damage than you should. It's not just that they have 300 health and you're only doing 10 damage. It's that you're literally doing less damage than should be calculated. Like, if you were fighting a lower leveled enemy, you'd actually be doing more damage. And it's not just because they have more or less defense. It's literally because there's a level cap to where if you're lower level, it cuts off part of your damage just because you're lower level. And that's really stupid. I always hated that, because it cuts away the challenge of being like, oh, that thing's over leveled, but maybe I can still beat it with the stuff I have. Like, no, the stuff you have is garbage, because what the fuck? This is weird. And all these rooms are empty. It's weird. But yeah, like, you can't even really fight anything over your level because you just have this innate disadvantage against anything above your level, no matter what it is. And then at the same token, if you were above leveled, if you were 2 levels over an enemy, they could not touch you. You could just walk through with 0 skill and nothing could touch you because nothing could do any damage to you, for the most part. Now, they kind of changed it after the game came out, and they put a cap on it. And that's where it got really frustrating, because the whole other end of the spectrum happened, where... Because it was never balanced. Like, when the game came out, if you were over-leveled, nothing could touch you. And then they changed it so when there was a cap, there was like a 2-level cap, so you could be against a level 1 enemy, and you could be a level 60, and it would still do the same amount of damage as a level 58 enemy. Like, you could only be... There was a cap to where if you were 2 levels above an enemy or more, this was the bonus you got. So it could be a level 1, level 2, level 10, level 20, or level 58. It was the same decrease in attack if you were level 60. So it was really stupid, because you'd be walking through like these really low-leveled areas being like, oh, I just gotta collect some stuff. And these level 1 things would be kicking your ass because you thought you could just walk through it, but no, you can't, because Destiny's stupid. So... I don't know, leveling systems are complicated. It should just be like they did it in most of the Final Fantasies, where enemies are a static level, and you get stats when you go up levels, but the actual number level that you are doesn't matter. You know, if you use a editor and you change Cloud, you make him a level 1, but you give him max stats, he'll be just as strong as a level 99 Cloud with max stats. The level doesn't mean anything. It just means that you've gotten more stat increases over the period of the game. And that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, you're low leveled, so you just lose because you're not supposed to be here yet. Like, that takes the fun out of it. It's more about like, oh, do I need to go up some levels to get some stat increases, or can I find a way around it so that I can still, you know, do well? But no, some games just cheat and say, nope, you're a low level, so screw you. And it gets rid of the fun of trying to be smart with what you do in the game. But I think this game seems to kind of have that going for it. But it needs more levels, in my opinion, I guess. Because, like I said, it gets to a point where you go up 1 level and you're all of a sudden way stronger. That was the biggest reason why I didn't like Final Fantasy Record Keeper, the mobile game. I liked it at first, but then it got to a point where if you went up a level, you were obliterating everything you fought. And if you went down a level, you were getting just demolished by everything. I've already been here. I went in a circle. I somehow went in some giant circle. Did I maybe get into a fight and then like go in the wrong staircase? Oh, I just did a thing. I don't know what I did. I did something weird. But yeah, in Final Fantasy Record Keeper, there was no... You could never fight something that was like on your level. You know, there was never a challenge to that game. It was either you walked in and you just destroyed everything, or you walked in and there was literally 0 chance of your survival. And that's no fun. You know, you want to be an even level with what you're fighting so that there's a challenge, but you can still win. That should be the goal of every game designer ever. And I understand why... Excuse me. I understand why some people hate, like, RPGs in general. Like, if you ever meet someone that's like, I can't play RPGs. I kind of understand why. Because in a lot of RPGs, the way you win is to grind. You know? Like, that's... If you just grind and become a higher level than what you're fighting, you will win. No matter how much strategy you put into it. Which is why I personally really like to do challenge runs. And why I've done several challenge runs in Final Fantasy X and other games. Because that negates that. Well, it depends on what challenge you do. But if you've watched my... I don't know why I just used Bolt 1. if you've watched my Final Fantasy X runs, all my Final Fantasy X runs are no sphere grid. And that's why I always do no sphere grid, because it gets rid of that grinding aspect. It's you versus the game at that point. You can't grind for levels. You only have what you have, up to that point. So, and it gives you that that classic like NES feel, like the reason Mario is so fantastic, because it's just you in the game, and there's no leveling up or grinding, and there's no way to make it easier. It's just you versus the game. So, that's what makes it so appealing. And that's why I really like doing challenge runs like that, because it's the same way. You only have what you've been given and what you've gotten, but you can't grind any further. Once you get to the next boss, you got what you have. Good luck. You got to figure out a way to do it. So that's what makes that kind of stuff fun. Not that grinding is always boring. Some games are fun to grind, but I find that grinding games lose their playability. Like Final Fantasy XII, for example. I loved that game, and I loved grinding in that game. I grinded for hours and hours and hours in that game, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But I can't play that game anymore. Like, I'm going to have to play it once we get to it in the Let's Play, and I think I'll be okay with that, because I'll be doing the Let's Play, and, that'll be a thing. Okay, hold on. I gotta pay attention here, because I think last time I went through a wrong staircase. But, yeah, just attack. But, I can't play that game anymore just casually for fun, because I've done all that grinding, and I know I've done it before, and I don't want to do it again, because that game is very grindy, so it's no fun. It'd be like if you've played Destiny before, it'd be like if you made a, man, I don't even remember the classes anymore. That's like how much I hate that game. But if you made a hunter, and you leveled him up, you got him to level 20, or now it's completely different, but you got him up to whatever level cap there is, and then you grinded all the good equipment for him, and then you deleted your save and you did it again. Like, no one would want to do that, because the game is so grindy that that's like the whole... Oh, I see, I was supposed to go through this door? Yeah, okay, I didn't go through this door. That was what I did. I just went right back down the stairs. Sometimes it's confusing, because you get into a fight, and then you come back up and you forget what you were doing before you got in the fight. So, that happens sometimes. But yeah, with grindy games like that, I just find that they have very little replayability. Once you beat it once and you do all the grinding once, you just don't want to do it again. Then there's some games that people swear that they enjoy grinding in, like MMOs seem to have that ability. Like, you could play World of Warcraft or something and then just start a new character and enjoy doing all the grinding again. But I don't know much about those games because I'm not much of a MMO fan. But I've heard that those are a little easier to get into, doing it over and over again, creating separate characters. But see, when you do that kind of thing, you pick a different class, But there's no... You can't really do that for Final Fantasy XII. You have all the characters, so the only thing you can do is you can play it a little differently than you normally do. Like, if one time you played through it and you use these 3 characters, you could use a different 3 characters as your main party. Which is what I'll probably do when I play Final Fantasy VII in this Let's Play. I'll probably try to use the characters that I don't usually use. But yeah, other than doing that, it's just kind of the same game again, and the same grinding that you already did again. At least with MMOs, you could be like, oh, well, I was a mage, main, so let's do a warrior this time, and it'll be a different experience, and you'll enjoy it in a different way. But Final Fantasy is kind of static, unless you pick different class. Like you could play Final Fantasy 1 again and pick a different party, have 3 black mages and a white mage or something, and it would be a different experience for the most part. But with the newer Final Fantasies, you don't get that. You just have the main characters, and unless you pick different main characters as your party, it's still going to be the same kind of thing. And especially with Final Fantasy VII, I will say, if there is any problem with Final Fantasy VII, that might be one of them, is that the party members are very static. They don't, like, they have slight differences in their stats, but they all work about the same way. If you played through the game with Red 13, Vincent, and Cloud, and then you played through the game again with Cloud, Sid, and Tifa, it wouldn't feel that much different. You're still going to do about the same amount of damage with magic. You're still going to do about the same amount of damage with physical attacks. Your limits will be different, but in general, the limits are around the same. There's some exceptions, but, you know, that's only when you use your limit. If you're not using your limit, everything's going to be very similar. So the replayability there is different. But it's kind of funny, because even though I would agree that the playability sucks in terms of the party members being different, I still think Final Fantasy VII has a ton of replayability. But I couldn't tell you why. I guess it's just because it's so good of a game. The story, every time you play through, you get a little bit more out of the story, and you find new things. There's a lot of side quests and stuff that you'll find that you didn't find the first time. This is terrifying, by the way. I'm gonna do this. Actually, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna use Fire 3, and you're gonna use this. Let's hope all this AoE just kills everything. That worked pretty well. If Card goes next, they're dead. Alright, well, we're safe. They all attacked, so hopefully this kills them so Card can keep his Fire 3. Oh, that's a waste. Didn't even do that much damage anyways.